Okay, welcome to Manor Wood. This is a wonderful English walnut table we made for a client, and this is actually in its new home on the Isle of Skye in Scotland. Me and my wife actually delivered it, and the client put us up. This is the view from their new house. Unbelievable place. Okay, so this is going to be challenging. It's very doable, and it's going to be challenging. It's going to be, the twist is going to be taken out with the resin, and there's a third slab over there I'm potentially going to laminate under this one. But it's going to be one of the most wonderful tables I've ever made, and it's probably going to be one of the most high labour tables I've ever made, funny enough. There you go. Like a lot of things, you shouldn't underestimate how much preparation goes into a project like this. These slabs took 3, maybe 4 days to prep, and you'll see in the video later on a lot of time getting them level by hand. They also needed 2 or 2.5 weeks in the kiln, which I monitor daily to check for moisture content. I get asked often about the moisture content of the wood. It doesn't have to be kiln dried. If it's air dried in the right place for around about 8 years or so in the UK, it could be a little bit less, it's normally okay. And in the UK, we're looking for moisture content between about 8 and about 11 or 12 max. But around about 10 is good. Okay, so just to explain what's going on here, this slab, there was lots of nails and stuff when I had the tree plank. Clients picked this slab, and you'll see that the bandsaw at the sawmill made a cut and it didn't quite go through, so I've got to try and remove this kind of few millimetre section, and then I've got to work on that when I do the mould. So you're going to see lots of this in the video coming up. This is me, it's set to about 1/2 mil or so, and I'm just taking off tiny bits and just eyeing it up to try and take out the double twist in these 2 slabs. I don't want to waste resin, but I also want the slabs to stay stable, so I've got to kind of get it as close as I can. Wondering about any of the tools that I'm using, I have lots of videos if you go back showing nearly everything that I use. I also have an Amazon store affiliated, and lots of stuff's in there, like the cut saw wheel and the angle grinder for carving. and all that kind of stuff. Quite interesting even for me in this video, whether you're a subscriber or whether you're new to the channel, you'll see in the background as we move around the workshop, which is being rebuilt after the fire, we're trying to keep out of the way of the builders and we're still trying to keep up with the orders, and you kind of get a bit of a diary of what was going on here in the background. Finally, at this stage, I'm checking level, getting ready for the resin pour, and it's the first time I actually get to work in my new shop, which is going to be the end of the shop where there's no machines, where it's for glue up, assembly, or anything that's not to do with machining. So if you're a subscriber, you know that I always pour a couple of mil in the bottom of the mould, leave it possibly overnight, depending on the heat, maybe leave it for 8 hours, and then I do the full pour. I do this to check the mould's not leaking, and it also stops some trapped bubbles from the underside. It really gives that resin time to move through without creating any kind of trapped bubbles. I was mixing this glass cast 50, is what I use, as you know. People have commented on some of the viscosity of some of the resins you see online. Now this is literally almost like water, and the reason is I've kept it warm. It's freezing in here. I've spoke about it before on the channel, on other videos, but this is obviously my make do thing. But I've got a small tube heater there, and that just keeps that resin warm, and it's like just like water. Now if it was in this room sitting here, it's about 11 in here roughly. Let's have a look at the stat and see where we are. Yeah, it's pretty cold actually, it's 9. If it was in this room for a few days, it would really thicken up, but just warming it through makes a complete difference. When you see me pour this in a minute, you're going to see it's absolutely like pouring water. It makes it easier to mix and easier to handle. What I don't do is I don't warm the hardener. So the hardener's at room temperature, and that equals, you know, once you've mixed it, that kind of equals out that maybe the resin's a bit warm, you don't want to get an exothermic reaction. But just having the hardener at room temperature and knowing the heat in this room, it's not going to cause a reaction that the resin's a little bit warmer than the ambient temperature. And as I say, really helps with viscosity, mixing, and everything, all of your pigment work as well. So this colour's my own. It's a mixture of turquoise, blue, metallic silver and white. The client sent me some pictures from the Isle of Skye. Absolutely wonderful. They're really into the kind of outdoor stuff as well. They dive for clams and big crabs and stuff. And we got one of the pictures on a sunny day, and I actually matched the colour to one of the pictures, and that's what we have here. Kind of trying to show it like a shoreline. So it is quite translucent. So after breaking out the mould, this machine here, which is new, probably one of the biggest time savers. It's not the answer to everything. It still needs to be finished by hand. But as long as you've got a flat reference side, this beast will eat the top off and give you about a 100 to 120 grit finish, and requires a 3-phase 100 amp supply. That's 300 amps. That's probably 3 times the domestic home. So it's not to be taken lightly. I think it weighs about 4.5, 5 ton. There is a video of me getting it installed. It is epic. I'm now cutting some relief grooves. First of all, I used the circular saw to cut a thin groove, really quick and easy. I then dropped in real quick and put a V on there with a router just to make it look nice. The relief grooves, which you can see here, they just help with any sort of cupping, especially if there's resin, which resin doesn't expand on the underside. This is the bottom of the table you're looking at. This next process is something I come up with quite a while ago. It's actually me carving and shaping the edge of the resin. I bend the mold, as you saw, to hug the slab, and then basically I'm going to shape and carve the resin to try and emulate the original live edge. And some of it you'll see the wood come through, some of it you just see the resin coming through. Really effective. It's quite a time-consuming process, but definitely worth it. Okay, so this is the underside of the table. The table was finished to about 2000 grit. I'm using Odies oil, which is brilliant for those high finishes, and also going across the wood resin join. I'm using my own toy safe, food safe dyes that I've come up with for the wood, but you can get pigments now from Odies oil, and they've even got it in the UK. There's a video of me with a bed and some other stuff where you see me using the pigmented Odies. It's brilliant. Main thing with Odies, as always, is don't put too much on and make sure you get it all off. This is a really good shot where you get to see that natural carved edge which blends into the wood, almost like a live edge of resin. It is time consuming, like I say, but it really is stunning, the final finish. So it's really hard when you're videoing. So I took some stills and you get to see here the glass-like finish on the wood. It's unbelievable when you high polishing with the grits, and then you get Odies just right. You get this kind of glass look, even though when you touch the wood, it does feel like wood. Doesn't feel like French polish, but it is absolutely stunning. Look at the reflection here on the wood. My first Odies finish was super penetrating, and now I'm using Odies oil, dark oil, which after completely getting rid of the super penetrating, I left it about a week. Maybe it was actually 2 weeks. I'm now buffing in the dark oil. Again, I'm going to leave it overnight. I'm going to buff it off. I'm going to keep using a white rag, terry toweling rag, until there's no stain or no Odies on that. I know it's off. And then you're going to see something a bit different from Manor Wood. I've been trialing this for a while. You're going to see me using a ceramic finish. It's our own ceramic finish. I am going to be selling it, but I just have not had the time to sort out the ordering process and the website. But it is quite exciting, and this finish is pretty bulletproof. Something I'm very passionate about is that everything is made in-house. This is my son, he's a fabricator. He makes all the steel work for Manor Wood, and everything is done in-house. Unfortunately, unlike me, he's not very good at shooting videos, so he never shoots much of an in-depth on the steel work. Maybe someday he's going to do a Manor Metal, we don't know. Okay, so I'm cutting in some C-channel here. This is just me cutting in some grooves with a router. I'm going to put C-channel in, you'll see. That is just to help with any movement. It will let it move laterally, but it won't let it cup. Again, it's going to the Isle of Skye. I think the moisture can be up and down in Scotland. It's pretty high. So I want to just do as much as I can to keep this thing flat and true. So I do keep it local, but you'll see here the legs are powder coated in a finish of our own. but I'd send that off to the powder coater. There's no filming in powder coating room, unfortunately, but it's a brilliant sort of copper bronze finish. Okay, here you're going to see on YouTube for the first time we're using a ceramic finish of our own. If you're a Patreon, I do have a Patreon channel, they know all about this ceramic. They're going to get the first batch when it's available. But I've been trialing this for well before the fire, about 18 months now. It is absolutely stunning. It is our own design and it really works well with Odies oil. It even works well over your hard wax oils. Okay, so here we are making the table fully waterproof. It's going to go in my pickup and it's going to drive, I don't know, 500 miles odd to the Isle of Skye, as you can see here. Absolutely wonderful journey. Some of my family, my mum's from Scotland anyway, so I know the place pretty well. I haven't actually been to Skye before this journey. It was quite funny and broke up the journey, seeing some 12-year-old malts going along on the back of a lorry. That's pretty much it for this one. I hope you enjoyed it. This is us on the Isle of Skye installing the table. The clients were absolutely wonderful. They put me and my wife up, made us a wonderful dinner, a lovely breakfast, and I couldn't believe how well the chairs all went. And looking at the coastline, this table just looked like it always belonged there, and even the client said that. What an amazing journey making this table, and I really enjoyed every minute of it. Thanks so much for watching. Please subscribe and hit the like button.